marrying that janitor? You're dead to us. My parents spat, cutting me off completely. 15 years later, they showed up begging for help with their bankruptcy. Surprise, that janitor had built a $50 million tech company, and I was the CEO. The security guard at our corporate headquarters looked uncomfortable as he spoke into his earpiece. Ma'am, there's an older couple here claiming to be your parents. They don't have an appointment, but they're quite insistent. I stared at the security monitor, watching my mother clutch her knockoff designer purse while my father paced in his ill-fitting suit. 15 years of silence, and they'd finally found their way to my door, not to apologize, not to reconcile, but to beg. Send them to conference room C, I instructed. Have legal sit in. This should be interesting. My name is Arya Patel Morrison, and yes, the hyphenated name was intentional. I kept Patel to honor where I came from, added Morrison to honor where I was going. My parents had such high hopes when they named me Arya, a beautiful melody, they'd said. Too bad they didn't appreciate the song I chose to sing. The Patels were what you'd call comfortable, not ultra-wealthy, but successful enough to live in a gated community, drive luxury cars, and look down on anyone who didn't summer in the Hamptons. My father was a mid-level executive at a pharmaceutical company, my mother a real estate agent who specialized in upscale properties only. Darling, they had my life planned from birth, private schools, Ivy League education, marriage to a nice Indian boy from an equally successful family, preferably a doctor or lawyer. I followed the script perfectly until I met Marcus Morrison my junior year at Yale. Marcus was working nights as a janitor to pay for his grandmother's cancer treatment. I met him when I stayed late in the library studying for my economics final. He was emptying trash bins, humming softly, when he noticed my textbook. Behavioral economics? He'd asked. Are you reading Kahneman's new paper on decision-making under uncertainty? I'd looked up, surprised. You know Kahneman? He'd smiled, that brilliant smile that would later charm investors out of millions. I audit classes when I can. Professor Chen doesn't mind if I sit in the back during my break. We talked for 3 hours that night. Marcus had a mind like a steel trap, absorbing everything he read, connecting ideas across disciplines. He was brilliant, driven, and kind, everything my parents claimed to value. Except for one thing, he was poor, and worse, in their eyes, he was black. You're throwing your life away, my mother wailed when I told them we were dating. What will people say? What about your children? He's a janitor, Arya, my father said, as if the word itself was dirty. You're meant for better things. We didn't sacrifice everything for you to marry down. Marry down? I'd repeated, incredulous. Marcus is brilliant. He's teaching himself coding. He has incredible ideas. Ideas don't pay bills, my father interrupted. Pushing a mop does. Barely. When I announced our engagement senior year, they issued an ultimatum, him or them. I chose him. They cut me off completely, financially, emotionally, even had me removed from family photos. My younger brother Dev was forbidden from contacting me. Extended family was told I'd lost my way and needed to learn hard lessons. The first years were brutal. I worked 2 jobs while Marcus worked 3. We lived in a studio apartment with spotty heating and a bathroom down the hall. I'd gone from designer clothes to thrift store finds, from spring break in Cancun to staycations on our fire escape. But while my parents thought they were teaching me a lesson about choosing love over money, Marcus was quietly building our future. He'd spend days cleaning offices and nights coding, teaching himself everything from basic HTML to complex algorithms. His first app was simple, a scheduling tool for service workers. It barely made money, but it caught the attention of a small investor. You've got something, the investor had said. The way you think about efficiency, about optimization, keep building. So he did, and I helped. My economics degree might not have gotten me the corporate job my parents envisioned, but it helped me understand market need, scalability, profit margins. We were partners in everything, love, life, and eventually, business. The breakthrough came 5 years in. Marcus developed an AI-driven logistics platform that could optimize delivery routes in real time. What started as a tool to help his former coworkers, janitors, delivery drivers, service workers, became a revolutionary system that major corporations desperately wanted. We're not selling, Marcus said when the first offer came in, we're building something bigger. He was right. That platform became the foundation of Morrison Technologies. Within 3 years, we'd expanded into smart city solutions, workplace optimization, and predictive analytics. Marcus was the visionary, I was the strategist. Together, we built an empire. The irony wasn't lost on me. My parents had disowned me for marrying a janitor, not realizing that janitors see everything, every inefficiency, every wasted resource, every opportunity for improvement. Marcus understood buildings from the ground up, understood systems from the inside out. His lowly job had given him insights that no MBA program could teach. By our 10th anniversary, Morrison Technologies was valued at $50 million. We'd moved from that studio apartment to a penthouse, though we kept the fire escape chairs, a reminder of where we'd started. Marcus insisted on hiring practices that prioritized potential over pedigree. Some of our best developers were former food service workers, retail employees, custodians, people like him, who'd been overlooked because of their circumstances rather than their capabilities. I'd kept tabs on my family through social media and mutual acquaintances. Dev had become a doctor, just as planned. He'd married a nice Indian girl from a good family. They lived in the suburbs, had 2 kids, seemed happy enough. My parents had aged, still keeping up appearances but struggling. The pharmaceutical company had downsized, pushing my father into early retirement. The real estate market had crashed, taking my mother's commissions with it. They'd refinanced their house multiple times, borrowed against retirement funds, maxed out credit cards, maintaining a lifestyle they could no longer afford. The same need to keep up appearances that had made them disown me was now destroying them financially. Which brings us to today, in conference room C, with my parents sitting across from me for the first time in 15 years. Arya, my mother started, then caught herself. I mean, Ms. Patel Morrison, thank you for seeing us. She'd aged poorly, stress etched into every line of her face. My father looked smaller than I remembered, his arrogance deflated by desperation. You have 10 minutes, I said, checking my watch. I have a board meeting at 3. Board meeting? My father repeated. You're on the board? I'm the CEO, I clarified, co-founder, majority shareholder. But you didn't come here for my resume. They exchanged glances. Finally, my mother spoke. We're in trouble, Beta, financial trouble. The house is in foreclosure. We have debts. How much? I asked, cutting through the preamble. 400,000, my father whispered. Maybe more with penalties. I did the math quickly. 400,000 to save the house they'd prioritized over their daughter. Less than I'd spend on a single developer hire. And you want me to help because you're our daughter, my mother said desperately. Family helps family. Family? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Was I family when you disowned me? When you told everyone I was dead to you? When you refused to meet your grandchildren because their father pushes a mop? That was, we were trying to protect you, my father attempted. You have to understand, we wanted better for you. Better than Marcus? I interrupted. The man who built this company from nothing? Who employs over 500 people? Who's donated millions to education programs for underprivileged kids? That's not better enough for you? We didn't know, my mother whispered. You didn't want to know. You saw a janitor and decided that was all he'd ever be. You saw a title instead of a person. You chose your prejudice over your daughter. The conference room phone buzzed. Mrs. Morrison? Mr. Morrison is here for the partnership review. Send him in, I said. Marcus entered, still as handsome as the night I met him in the library. He wore a custom suit now instead of a janitor's uniform, but his smile was the same. He paused, recognizing my parents despite the years. Mr. and Mrs. Patel, he said evenly. I heard you were here. My mother couldn't meet his eyes. My father cleared his throat awkwardly. Marcus, I said, my parents are in financial trouble. They're asking for help. He studied them for a long moment. The same parents who said I'd never amount to anything, who called me worthless, who threatened to have me arrested for stalking their daughter when I tried to invite them to our wedding. My parents shrank in their chairs. That was a mistake, my father managed. A mistake, Marcus repeated. 15 years of silence, missing your grandchildren's births, first steps, first words. That's quite a long mistake. You have grandchildren. By the way, I added, Amara is 12, loves robotics, calls herself a future engineer. Dylan is 10, wants to be a chef. They're brilliant, kind, curious kids. But you wouldn't know that. My mother was crying now, genuine tears rather than the theatrical ones I remembered. We're sorry, we're so sorry. Sorry you were wrong, or sorry you're broke? I asked. Silence. Marcus pulled out a chair and sat down. Here's what I find interesting. You cut Arya off to teach her a lesson about choosing love over money, but when you had to choose between your pride and your daughter, you chose pride. Now you're here because you need money. So really, what did anyone learn? Please, my father said. Pride completely abandoned. We'll lose everything. Like you were willing to let me lose everything? I asked. I had to choose between the man I loved and the family I was born into. You made that an easy choice. I stood up. Marcus beside me. Here's what we're willing to do. Morrison Technologies has a program for people facing foreclosure. You can apply like anyone else. If approved, we'll buy your mortgage and restructure it to something manageable, but it comes with conditions. Anything, my mother said quickly. You'll volunteer 20 hours a week at our community center, teaching financial literacy to immigrant families. You'll attend diversity and inclusion workshops. You'll write a public apology acknowledging your prejudice and its consequences. And you'll meet with a family therapist if you want any relationship with your grandchildren. That's humiliating, my father protested weakly. No, Marcus said firmly. Humiliating is being told you're worthless because of your job. Humiliating is having your wife's family act like you're invisible at your own wedding. Humiliating is explaining to your children why they've never met their grandparents. This is accountability, they agreed. Of course, desperation has a way of improving perspective. 6 months later, I watched my mother teaching a budgeting class to recent immigrants, many of whom worked as janitors, housekeepers, food service workers. She was patient, respectful, speaking to them as equals. My father was across the hall, mentoring young entrepreneurs from underserved communities. They're really trying, Marcus observed, joining me at the observation window. Maybe, I agreed, or maybe they just don't want to lose their house. Does it matter? They're helping people. That's more than they ever did before. The grandchildren meeting was harder. Amara, sharp as a tack, asked point blank why her grandparents had been mean to Daddy. Dylan wanted to know if they were still racist or just were racist before. We were wrong, my mother told them, tears genuine this time. We judged your daddy unfairly. We missed so much because we were stupid. 15 years of stupid is a lot of stupid, Amara observed. Yes, my father agreed. It is. It's been a year now. The relationship isn't what it could have been. 15 years of absence leave scars. But my parents are learning, growing, contributing to their community in ways they never did when they had money. They've met other interracial couples at the center, heard stories of sacrifice and success that challenge everything they once believed. I wish we'd been braver, my mother said last week, watching Marcus teach coding to kids at the center. We lost so much time. You lost more than time, I reminded her. You lost the chance to know us when we were struggling, when we were building, when we were becoming. You only wanted us after we'd succeeded. No, she said quietly, we want you because we finally understand we failed. The success just made it impossible to keep pretending otherwise. Maybe that's growth. Maybe it's just regret. Either way, Morrison Technologies continues to thrive. We're valued at $75 million now, expanding internationally. Marcus was featured on the cover of Tech Innovator magazine, From Janitor to Giant, the Marcus Morrison story. He framed it, hung it in his office next to his old janitor's ID badge. Never forget where you came from, he tells every new hire. And never let anyone tell you where you can't go. My parents kept the article too. I saw it on their refrigerator, highlighted and worn from handling. Next to it, a photo from Amara's robotics competition, the whole family together. Finally, they'd disowned me for marrying poor, not understanding that poverty is about more than money. Marcus was never poor in spirit, in ambition, in love. He was only poor in the ways that shouldn't matter, and don't, if you're measuring a person's worth correctly. The fortune they came begging for? It was built on everything they'd rejected: love over convention, merit over privilege, character over credentials. That janitor they'd dismissed had more vision in his mop bucket than they'd had in their whole gated community. Now they know, better late than never, though never would have been better than late. But that's the thing about bridges burned, sometimes you can build new ones. They'll never be as strong as the original might have been, but if you're careful, if you're honest about why the first one failed, maybe they'll hold enough weight for what matters, the chance to do better. My name is still Arya Patel Morrison. The melody I chose to sing might not have been the one my parents composed for me, but it's mine, and it sounds exactly like success.